I never thought I'd be the kind of woman who'd sleep with her boss. Even as I write that, there's a part of me that still doesn't fully believe it. But if you rewind a few years, before everything fell apart, before the whispers, before the threats, before the humiliation, you'd see a woman who thought she had control of her life. I was married, I was competent, and I was good at my job. But temptation doesn't always walk in wearing red lipstick and high heels. Sometimes it wears a tailored suit, smiles like he owns the world, and makes you feel like you matter more than you really do. It began quietly. Our company was going through a reorganization, and my department had just gotten a new director. Him. I'll call him Nathan. He was confident, sharp, charming in that effortless way that made everyone want his approval. And I was flattered when I got it. I was married, yes, but things had grown stale. My husband, Chris, worked long hours as an engineer. We loved each other, but the spark had faded under layers of routine. Mornings were mechanical. Evenings were quiet. Our conversations revolved around bills, chores, and what to eat for dinner. I missed being seen. I missed feeling like a woman instead of a checklist. So when Nathan complimented me about my presentation, my insight, my dress, it stirred something in me I hadn't felt in years. It wasn't immediate, but the tension grew. Lingering glances during meetings, late-night emails that turned personal, the kind of connection you know you shouldn't feed but can't stop nurturing. One evening, after a team dinner, he offered me a ride home because it was raining. I should have said no, but I didn't. And when we stopped outside my house, neither of us moved. The rain tapped against the windshield, and he looked at me, really looked at me. Then he kissed me. That moment split my life into before and after. It didn't stay a one-time mistake. At first, it was all passion. Stolen moments, whispered excuses, the rush of secrecy. We met in hotels, in his office after hours, even during business trips. Every time I told myself it would be the last. Every time it wasn't. Nathan had a way of making me feel powerful, desired. He'd text me in the middle of meetings, little compliments, inside jokes, things that made my stomach twist. When he said he couldn't stop thinking about me, I believed him. When he said I was special, I wanted to be, but something in me shifted after a few months. It wasn't love, it was control disguised as affection. He started commenting on my work differently, praising me publicly, then privately hinting that I owed him for his support. I brushed it off at first, thinking it was a joke, but then the joke stopped sounding funny. One night, I tried to end it. I told him I couldn't keep doing it, that I still loved my husband, that the guilt was eating me alive. He stared at me in silence for a long moment, then smiled. "You're not serious," he said softly. "We're good together. Don't ruin something perfect." I told him it wasn't perfect. It was wrong. He didn't like that. After that, I noticed little changes. My workload got heavier. My team assignments got messier. I wasn't being invited to meetings I used to attend. When I asked him why, he said things were being restructured. But I knew better. He was punishing me. That's when I realized how dangerous he was. He wasn't the man who had kissed me in the car that rainy night. He was my boss, my superior, the man who could make or break my career, and I had given him every weapon he needed to destroy me. He started showing up at my desk late, long after everyone else had gone home. He'd lean against my cubicle wall and smile like nothing had happened. "Don't be distant," he'd whisper. "People might think something's wrong." Then came the threats, veiled at first, then blunt. "If you don't come to the conference next weekend, I might have to reconsider your role on the project." Or, "Be careful about what you say to others. You wouldn't want rumors about you going around." I felt trapped. The fear of losing my job mixed with the fear of my husband finding out. It was suffocating. Every day I'd paste on a smile and pretend everything was fine while inside. I was rotting. I tried to collect myself. I told him I wanted to keep things professional. He'd nod, but then his hand would brush against mine during meetings, or his texts would come late at night again. I was caught in a web I helped spin. It all unraveled one Friday night. Chris was quiet at dinner, too quiet. When I asked what was wrong, he just stared at me. Then he pulled out his phone and showed me a screenshot. An email. One of mine. One I had sent Nathan months ago when things were still passionate. Something I had deleted. It had been forwarded anonymously. "I thought you'd want to know who your wife really is," the message said. My stomach dropped. Chris didn't yell. He didn't cry. He just stood up and said, "I can't even look at you right now." Then he left. I tried to call him, but he turned his phone off. I sat on the couch all night, shaking. The next morning, he came back only to pack a bag. He said he needed space. Nathan had promised he'd keep things between us. He didn't just break that promise. He used it to destroy me. Monday morning was a nightmare. People stared. Conversations stopped when I walked by. I didn't know what Nathan had told them, but the rumors spread faster than I could breathe. He called me into his office, pretending to be concerned. "I heard some people are talking," he said. "You should probably lay low." Lay low. I realized then he'd leaked it. He'd burned me to protect himself. I went to HR. I told them everything. Every message, every threat, every time he'd used my position against me. But without proof, they said it would be hard to take action. "We'll look into it," they said, their voices soft, sympathetic, and useless. When word got back to Nathan, his mask slipped completely. He called me into his office again, this time with the door closed and his tone sharp. "You think you can destroy me?" he hissed. "You were nothing before I noticed you. You'll be nothing when I'm done." That was the last time I ever spoke to him. Chris filed for divorce. He didn't even want to talk about counseling. I tried everything. Letters, apologies, therapy on my own. But his mind was made up. The affair wasn't just betrayal. It was humiliation. He told me he could forgive almost anything, but not that. My reputation at work was ruined. People stopped trusting me. Some whispered, others avoided me completely. Eventually, HR restructured my role. I was asked to resign quietly. I packed up my desk in silence. No one said goodbye. Nathan stayed. Of course he did. Men like him always do. The first few months after losing everything were a blur of guilt and isolation. I moved into a small apartment across town. I stopped wearing makeup, stopped checking my phone, stopped existing the way I used to. There were nights when I'd sit in the dark, replaying everything. Every text, every glance, every decision that led to this. I wanted to hate Nathan, and I did. But part of me also hated myself more, because I wasn't innocent. I'd chosen to cross that line. I'd chosen to believe the lies because they filled something empty in me. But guilt doesn't fix broken lives. One day, I ran into a former coworker at the grocery store. She looked uncomfortable but tried to be polite. Then she told me Nathan had been quietly transferred to another branch after another woman came forward. HR had finally acted. Too late for me, but not for her. It was the first time I'd felt something like relief in months. I started therapy. It wasn't easy. Talking about what happened meant confronting not just what Nathan did to me, but what I allowed. My therapist told me something that stuck. Abuse can wear the mask of love, and guilt can keep you chained to someone long after they're gone. I had to learn to forgive myself. Not excuse, not forget, but forgive. I took a new job at a smaller company. Nothing fancy, just steady, quiet work. I kept my head down, focused on doing things right this time. I didn't tell anyone about my past. It was my scar, invisible but deep. Chris moved on. I saw a picture of him on social media a year later, smiling, holding hands with someone new. They looked happy. I stared at that picture for a long time, not out of jealousy, but sadness. Because he deserved that happiness. I was the one who took it away from him. 2 years later, I saw Nathan again. It was at a professional conference. I didn't know he'd be there until I spotted him across the room. For a moment, I froze. He looked older, maybe more tired, but that same arrogant smirk was there when our eyes met. He walked over. "Didn't expect to see you here," he said lightly. "I didn't expect to see you anywhere," I replied. He tried to charm me the same way he used to. Talked about the old days, about how things got messy. But I wasn't the same woman anymore. I looked him dead in the eyes and said, "You used me, Nathan. You threatened me, and I'll never let anyone like you do that again." He laughed nervously, then mumbled something about moving on. I turned and walked away. I didn't shake. I didn't cry. I just walked out of that building and realized, for the first time, I was free. It's been 3 years since that first kiss in the car. 3 years since I burned my life down and had to rebuild it from ashes. I still have scars. I still wake up some mornings with a pit in my stomach, remembering what I lost. But I also wake up grateful that I finally have my life back. One that's honest, quiet, and mine. Sometimes people ask if I regret it. The answer is yes, every single day. But regret can either crush you or teach you. And I'm done letting it crush me.